Hey everyone, how's it going? So last time we ended on a pretty high note, but that's about where it ended because the next few races over the next 2 months or so did not go well at all. I was just crashing out every race, spinning, and yeah, it was just a complete mess. So the Laguna Seca race happened like mid-August, this rate, and then now we're in September right here. Still not being able to get any good quality racing videos and footage, mostly because just I don't know, because I don't even know what's up with my driving. Especially on this track right here, I was just not able to get it together. I think the track was pretty dumb, and then this one it was more or less the same. I could not get the hang of it at all. I was just going off everywhere. And right here at this point, we are already in October, and safe to say that I did not have a good time with the F4 at all. I just think it just, in my opinion, kind of sucked. It feels like every time you brake or just step on the gas just a little bit wrong, and you're off into the barrier or facing the opposite way. So I decided to go for the road series. So going right into it, this was the week it was at Tsukuba. It was October 16th or so around 61 days since the Laguna Seca race. Just tell you how my experience went with the Formula Series is the F4, 2 months later, and well, still stuck in D class. But the Mazda MX-5 felt really smooth. It felt like you were able to just kind of throw it into the corners, not really have any fear of spinning out. I really liked how this MX-5 felt. So for my racing line and braking point references, I drove kind of similar line to how I did with the Formula V. In my opinion, they felt a little bit similar, but the MX-5 just felt a bit more stable than the V. So I just felt a bit easier to drive. But coming along the there, I almost lose it, but just doing some practice cold, not really seeing any guides or videos of it, and it's good enough for a 106.23, which is a good time to build upon. Well, going into qualifying, here's my livery. Once again, my Napa sponsorship carries over to the Street Series. They were about to drop me, but I convinced them to give me another chance in the Street Series. So finishing the first lap, it's a 105.7, which it was pretty good lap time looking back at it. And then going across the line for a final qualifying lap, and it is a 104.1, which I don't remember what the top timers were, but I remember it being not that far off actually. So that puts me in P2, and the guy in first does a 103.2, so almost a whole second faster, and then the guy behind third is almost 2/10 or around 2/10 slower. So I have my work cut out for me here. But ultimately, in the end, when it's time to grid, there was another guy who actually went around 2-3 tenths quicker than me, so I ended up in third. But nevertheless, it's lights out, and we're racing once again in Tsukuba, and I actually get a pretty good start. Catch up on second and actually jump him going into turn one. You see the rearview mirror. He tries to go for a switchback, but I just hold the outside line, and he pulls back just a bit. So as it looks right now, we are free to chase down first, and you can see right here it looks like he goes, at least what I think, a little bit wide, but and then there goes the person in third. He goes down the inside and just swoops in around the outside, takes the position back from me. The outside line is where you want to be, preferably, since it gives you the better exit line. But we're back in third. So that was a brief good run right there in second. But that's about where the race ended, because you can see right here, I actually end up pulling a bit of a gap. It went down quite a bit. It ended up pulling a gap for me, so I was kind of in nowhere's land. Overall, it was a okay race. Just kind of after that first lap battle, it was just, just driving around the track, just basically doing practice laps. So that was a good start to my road racing series. Definitely made the boys at the factory pretty happy with that. First race and immediately get a podium. And immediately right here, you can see my driver rating immediately shoot up to a 276, from a 250. But for the next race, at least the qualifying session, it didn't go nearly as smoothly. I racked up 4 incident points, so the last lap didn't count, but drove cleanly the next one, and it was a 104.9, which is about 8/10 off of my previous best for qualifying. Which now speaking about qualifying, I just don't know why they make you qualify before every race instead of just using your personal best qualifying lap like once or so. If you know what I'm saying, kind of like how it is in Gran Turismo. So you constantly have to be setting qualifying laps, and sometimes in some qualifying sessions you do worse, and then others you do better. So it just I don't know, I guess it just kind of keeps you on your toes. So it's time for the race start, and I qualified in 8th, and in a classic iRacing fashion, you're sitting there at the grid waiting to start for the whole minute and a half, because I don't know, there's just those people that just, I don't know, wait for the last possible second. This isn't a Assetto Corsa Competizione where where you have to wait the whole 90 minutes regardless, and it's better to just press the start button during the last 10 seconds or so to avoid losing heat and tire pressure. So we're all basically just kind of waiting on you. You could just press grid and then hold escape to just start from the pits if that's what you're worried about, the turn 1 incident. But nevertheless, the lights go out once again. Immediately goes side by side with this teal Mazda MX-5. He pulls out, here comes a car. You can see in the rearview mirror going down the inside. I just kind of hold it around the outside, and there we go. The first crash of this race. Don't know if that was on purpose or intentional. You just never know nowadays. These guys are pretty sneaky. And there goes an MX-5 spinning. Funny enough, it's a Haas. Must have been Nikita Mazepin, because who else would it be? His driving was just so terrible that, the FIA just demoted him all the way down to the MX-5s. Not just the MX-5s, but the MX-5 rookies. Just to reteach him the basics of driving side by side as I lose another position right here. So that was a pretty crazy start. Not the craziest start I've been a part of, actually, but look at the virtual mirror and the rear view mirror. Just look at the difference in FOV. Like, you saw how close that MX-5 was, like right behind me, and in the virtual mirror it didn't look nearly as close. So, well, now he's ahead of me, but it was pretty crazy how the virtual mirror does that. It's at the default 120, so I don't know what you would have to set it at to get it pretty similar to what you would see in the rear view mirror. So I think we're back in 8th now, or maybe 7th, as I think it shows right there in the lap timing, but we're only on lap 2, and there's about 13 laps to go. So just a bit later in the lap, I finally realized that I had the lap timing up and not my relative, so I went ahead and switched that. So I'm just following these cars. They were fighting a bit, but coming across the line, I actually get a 104.7. Don't know why I didn't do that in a qualifying, but you can see right there, the person in 6th gets the move done on the person in 5th, so now they're the ones in 5th. That was a pretty clean textbook overtake. So, I just keeping my head down. I get a 104.1, just pulled that. I don't even know from where. It's just, it matched my qualifying time from the last race. Person behind us is about a second behind. Person ahead is about a second. Just basically chasing them down. I feel like I was making some pretty good progress. Like, I could get the move done, or at least make a few positions up here. Because I felt pretty comfortable in this car. Like, I felt like no matter what I did, I was not gonna spin this car. So going back onto the main straight, Jensen, there he goes, making the move to get back into 5th. Takes it from Peter, and they're just me just following them, and then crossing across the line right here, a 103.6. Like, I was even surprised at myself at this point. Like, I was getting shockingly good, like, with this car. Like, got really comfortable really quick. So on lap 6, you could see P2 right there, facing the barrier. Has his hood popped up, and Peter just almost spinning it right there, but manages to keep it on the track. I almost went for an overtake, but not quite. Had to pull out a bit there. Maybe not just being bold enough, but nevertheless, him going off puts us into P6, which some would say that is the most optimal position to be in, but I don't know. That's just what I've heard. So going into this sort of hairpin, Peter getting, I don't know, not taking this the best. I don't know, for some reason I shifted down to first. That's a second gear corner. That was probably the thing that prevented us from taking the position. But for the next few laps, there was basically a whole lot of nothing, just being down in 5th until here when the leader goes off. Just going straight off, forgets to turn at this corner, and there goes another car, and there's just a collision. I am at a loss for words. I have no idea what happened there. How do we even explain that? Like, within a matter of 2-3 corners, 4 cars had just gone off, just wrecked into each other and barreled into each other. That was pretty crazy, but that was to my benefit a lot. Just in a lap, in a few corners, we go from P6 to P3. So yeah, I think that was basically where the race ended. I remember I got P3 this race, but I don't remember how I got P3. I was looking at the race scene footage. It's like, how did I get past these guys? That explains why. I completely forgot about that, but there goes P3. So the double podium, the double P3 in the race. So overall, way better than my F4 debut. So those were pretty good 2 races. There was a bit of luck with the collision, but it was good enough to get me promoted to the D class at a 2.4 with a 2.40 SR or driver rating, and then a 1458 safety ratings. But that was about it. I didn't do any more Mazda MX-5 races, even though I should have just built my I rating, since I know that's what matters the most, and not more so the driver rating. But I just wanted to deviate a bit from the formula license, especially since I had been struggling on that a lot. But it was fun. It was definitely a nice breather, and basically a dose of fresh air. And I didn't know how much seriously I wanted to take the street series, the road series at the time. So that was basically it. Just I didn't really feel like spending any money on that, especially since I was already trying to focus on the formula series. But that was about it. It was a bit of a shorter video this time. I think shorter. Nothing wrong with that. Shorter videos are always good too, especially compared to longer ones. But I'm thinking about recently I've been putting out a lot of sim racing videos. It's not the only thing I do on this channel. I also have the gaming videos. If you guys haven't noticed, I play with my friends. The original idea was that maybe one day it'll be a video game video with my friends, and then another one would be a sim racing, stuff like that, basically trading off. But I've been thinking about bringing those videos back. They were just kind of pushed aside for a bit, because they wouldn't really do that well, and the sim racing videos would always do way better. I've been thinking about bringing them back. I kind of miss making those videos, but I'm not entirely too sure. I don't know, what do you guys think? Should I just move my channel, move forward just into a pure sim racing channel, or just be like how it was before with the trading off? So let me know what you guys want to see, and until then, I'll see you guys at Silverstone.